Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Here we are again. This is Shamir, and we're going to be looking at Vayichra, Yud Aleph, or Leviticus 11. So hopefully this will be an enjoyable listening as you rest on the seventh day that God also rested. So with no further ado, let us proceed forward. First, we are looking at chapter 11, talking about animals that are cultically clean and animals that are not cultically clean or detestable for us to eat. And God has his own reasons, and then in nature we can see why we don't eat certain things, such as rabbits, because they eat the feces of rats and pigs as their stomachs leak into their body, and all of those toxins go into the meat. But in the end, it's because God commanded us not to eat these things, and so we don't, or we shouldn't be eating them. So, V'daber Yahweh el Moshe ve'el Aharon lemor alehem, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, Dabaru el bnei Yisrael lemor, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, Zot hachaya asher tochelu. These are, even though actually Zot hachaya is actually in the singular form, collectively it's thought of as a plural. So when you see it in English, you will see these are the animals. And also chaya can be animals or a living thing. So some translations you'll see these are the living things you shall eat or not eat, or these are the animals. So I just chose animals because it's also relevant. So Zot hachaya asher tochelu. These are the animals, or mostly untamed or wild, that you will eat. Mikol habehema asher al haaretz. From all of the animals, and this word behema here is just being used as a generic term. So you see we have two terms, chaya and behema. Behema in other terms can be referring to domesticated animals, while chaya can be referring to wild animals. So mikol habehema asher al haaretz, from all of the animals that are upon the earth, or from among these you can eat. Kol mafreset parsa, and then we see mafreset and parsa share the same shorish, pei resh samek, all that divide. Mafreset, the hoof, parsa, ve shosaat she-sa, and again you see that these two words share the same shorish, shin, samech, ayin, ve shosaat she-sa, and so we see these two words also, one's a verb, one's a noun, they share the same shorish, shin, samech, ayin, and shows the division or the cloven hoof. Perasot ma'alat gera, literally in the English is chew the cud, but literally means to bring up, because the word ma'alat is from Allah. It means to go up or bring up. So all bahema ota tochelu. So among these animals you may eat. Hagamal, or the camel, ki ma'ale gera, brings up the cud, hu u farsa enenu mafris tameh hu lechem, for it brings up the cud but does not divide the hoof. It is unclean cultically for you. And then we're going to see two different words, shaketz and tameh. Tameh is unclean, cultically unclean to eat, and cultically unclean to sacrifice to Yahweh as well. Hashafan, or the rock badger, ki ma'ale gera hu, for it brings up the cud. U farsa lo yafris tameh hu lechem, but it does not divide the hoof. It is unclean cultically for you. Ha-chazir, the pig, ki mafris parsa hu, divides the hoof. Ve shosa shesa, parsa, vehu gera lo yigar, tamehu lechem, but does not bring up the cud. It is unclean cultically to you. Now we look at some of the provisions for sea creatures. Et ze tochelu mikol asher b'mayim. These you may eat of all that are in the waters. Kol asher lo senapir v'kashkeshet b'mayim. Everything in the waters that has fins and scales. Kashkeshet b'yamim, in the seas. Et ze tochelu mikol asher b'mayim. These you may eat of all that are in the waters. Kol asher lo senapir v'kashkeshet. Everything in the waters that has fins and scales. B'yamim, in the seas. Uvenachalim, in the rivers or streams. Otam tochelu, you may eat. Kol asher ein lo senapir v'kashkeshet. Everything in the waters that does not have fins and scales. Sheketz hu lechem. Remember, we have tameh, and here we have sheketz. So is detestable cultically to you. So unclean and detestable things you will not eat, and you also not present before Yahweh your God as well. So obviously there are so many more things to say, and this clip is very short. And so with some final thoughts, there's so many arguments going around that these food laws are now no longer valid. We don't have to follow them. But then we have to ask ourselves some questions, and if that's true, which of course it isn't, would we sacrifice these unclean animals today? If we had an opportunity, would we bring a pig before the God of Israel, and would we slaughter it because now it's okay to do? If the Torah in its entirety and undergirded by the Spirit is written on the heart, how can we delete parts of it? How can we delete and say that this is no longer valid, or according to the apostolic writings, which is not true either, that these things have now been done away with and we can freely do whatever we want? It doesn't appear to be that way according to the text. If you eat these things that have been unsanctioned by God, you will defile yourself by eating them, or injecting even unsanctioned medical experiments into your body or the bodies of our children. Is also these things are also sheketz and tameh. We do not want those things in our bodies because they contain elements from these unsanctioned animals. All inoculations contain pork gelatin, for example. So these things are, among other things, that we don't really want in our bodies. It is also interesting to note that this chapter comes after the troubles with Aharon and his sons being executed by fire because of their profane offering that they brought before the Lord, a strange fire. And then many provisions were given on how to approach God in His place. Not how we want to do it, but how He commands us to do it. Yes, this is all about us being able to relate to God and to remain in fellowship with Him. It's not as punishment, but why would we not want to do what He has said in His Word? Why would we not want to do that? If we think about Yeshua, Jesus, would He have sacrificed a pig in His Father's house? Would He have eaten unclean things? Would He have disobeyed the Father's word? And some might say, well, Shaul said, Paul says, but there really isn't. It really does not say that. This is all tradition that comes to us and says that now we can remove any kind of Hebraic thoughts or ideas from the word and present it differently than what is written. Everyone is free, of course, to make up their own minds about how they view the word, but in the end, we're all going to be accountable for what we have done regarding what we have heard and what is in His word. So we want to obey him. We want to obey his word. So that's all for today. I pray that you will go your way rejoicing into Shabbat as you continue your rest and into the new week as well. And that's it. Bye-bye. Till next time.